Meteorologist Matthew East here with you in the Weather on the Ones Forecast Center. This is your Thursday edition of the Carolina weather video here for this 19th day of November. And we'll start off here with a look at the radar this morning, and stick with me through the video. We have a lot to talk about as we head into Thanksgiving week next week, and I'll sort of highlight where I think the weather pattern's going overall. We had some light rain and showers around yesterday and last night. Still a lot of shower activity around the region this morning as this storm system is slowly pulling through. The heaviest rain this morning has been in the coastal plain of North Carolina on over to the Outer Banks, and then some really hit and miss showers through the Piedmont. A lot of drizzle everywhere that's really too light to be detected by radar. All generally associated with this big upper level low that all week has been in the nation's midsection, but it is lifting northward and weakening now. Some of the drier air wrapping around the south side of that will pull in here as we get on into the day for tomorrow, and we'll begin that clearing process tonight. High temperatures today, we have our wedge in place. We were in the 50s in the Piedmont, or at least much of the Piedmont yesterday. I think we're into the 60s for highs today, and that's where we'll be again tomorrow. It's still sort of socked in with the clouds, at least for the vast majority of the day. But notice that high pressure back in the Tennessee Valley. That is advancing in, and that should give us just a nice day tomorrow. Sunshine, 60s for highs, good-looking Friday weather. Now, if you have outdoor plans this weekend, I think certainly Saturday, the far better of the two weekend days. Saturday, we'll just see an increasing amount of cloud cover as this next low pressure takes shape in the Gulf of Mexico. So clouds will be on the increase Saturday, but Saturday will still be dry, and probably looking at most highs in the lower side of the 60s Saturday. But here comes that low pressure Sunday. This is 1 p.m. Sunday. The low actually centered in South Georgia, but a lot of rain spreading in. It'll probably begin spreading in by daybreak Sunday in most zones, and the rain could extend for much of the day Sunday, probably at its heaviest Sunday morning. And this could be a decent little rain event. We might wind up with some folks picking up around an inch of rain as this pulls through, and it'll be a very chilly rain. I think highs only in the 40s Sunday. So it's going to be a chilly, rainy Sunday forecast. And boy, the forecasts for next week, at least the details of it, are still pretty tough to figure out. As we get into next week, the week of Thanksgiving, that's our transition week. I think that's the week we make the change from this relatively mild pattern we've been in for a good chunk of November to a much colder pattern and a stormy pattern for December. Next week is the week we see those changes begin to take place. So we're probably going to see some wild flips in the modeling as we go through the period, say from midweek next week into the very first couple of days of December. Models don't handle pattern changes particularly well, and that's exactly what we're going to be going through next week, setting up that colder pattern, I believe, for December. So let's go through the latest run of the GFS, or at least the 0Z run today. This is Monday. Could see the clouds lingering for Monday, but with the exception of the Canadian, most models have us dry Monday. And the GFS is the quickest with bringing a cold front through next week. This is Tuesday early in the afternoon, that cold front plowing into the region. And we go on to the GFS here out to Wednesday, and it has a quiet-looking pattern, a lot of cold air trying to develop into the northern part of the country. This is the upper air chart on the GFS Wednesday evening next week. And big trough carving itself out in the eastern part of the country. The result, again, on the GFS is a cold and breezy Thanksgiving, and Black Friday also looks cold and breezy but dry. Now let me show you the European. This is the 12Z European from yesterday. It had a big upper air low. This is Saturday morning, the 28th, so this is Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend next week. Big upper level low around the Ohio Valley, another one back in Southern California. And again, the 0Z run, the latest run of the European, is really quite different, and we're going to see these flips and flops in the modeling as we go through next week. But I think the general idea here, let me show you the HPC outlook here, the National Weather Service outlook. This is the day 8 to 10 day temperature probability, and this would be from the 26th of November. So we're talking the period from Thanksgiving into the middle part of the week after Thanksgiving, and we're looking at higher probabilities of below average temperatures here for much of the eastern U.S. Above average temperature probability is pretty high in the Rocky Mountain region, and that sure looks like the pattern we're going to. So, next week, the changeable week, Thanksgiving week. There'll be some wild flips and flops in the modeling, but the general idea here is we begin to step down into a colder pattern next week, and as we get into the first then week of December, the week right after Thanksgiving, that's when we begin to really settle into that colder pattern. And I do think it'll be a stormier pattern, or at least a stormy pattern. Storm system's probably moving through at least every several days as we get through the month of December. So I do think December has a higher than normal probability of seeing some wintry weather. I'm especially concerned about the chance of maybe getting into an ice situation eventually down the line. There's nothing to hang our hats on at the moment, but I'm just looking at the overall pattern, the way high pressures have wanted to wedge down east of the mountains, active storm track, cold air available. That'll be something we're watching for, at least in terms of that potential as we get into December. There's nothing out there to worry about right now, but I think that'll be a concern that we'll have to monitor for as we go through December. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Have a great day today, and God bless.